Hey and welcome to my channel. Today we are making latex leggings. I'm going to draft my own patterns for these, but if you don't feel like doing that, I would recommend tracing your patterns using some other leggings that fit you. Just keep in mind that some materials stretch more and some less, so you might have to adjust the size of the patterns. Even if you draft your own patterns, be aware that your first leggings are probably not going to fit perfectly, so you will more than likely have to adjust the patterns based on the fit. The formula I use to draft my patterns is just one way of doing it. Basically, you'll need to measure the distance between your ankle and waist, or the spot you would like your leggings to sit. You also need to measure the distance from your waist to crotch and knee. For horizontal measurements, you'll need your waist, hip, thigh, knee, and ankle measurements. For the latex to fit snugly, reduce those measurements by 10 to 20%. It's safer to start with a 10% reduction if you don't know how tight you want your leggings to be. The pattern here is for one leg, and the left side of it is the back side and the right side of it is the front. Here, the width that I've used for the crotch is my thigh circumference. Since your back side is usually a bit bigger than the front, you'll need to take some of the measurements from the front and add them to the back at the crotch. In this example, I'm subtracting half of my hip measurement from my thigh measurement. Then I divide that number by 3 and add 2/3 of it to my thigh measurement at the back. I subtract 1/3 of the number from the front thigh measurement. This formula is not going to work for everyone, so you'll have to play around and see if you need to add more or less in the back, or maybe even to the front. Your half hip measurement might also be bigger than the thigh measurement, and in those cases you can flip the numbers around and subtract the smaller measurement from the bigger one. But like I said in the beginning, don't expect these leggings to fit you perfectly the first time you make them. The first version is just going to be the test fit to see how the pattern works, and based on the fit, you'll need to modify the pattern and make another pair that should fit better. If you have some other leggings that fit you, you might want to use those to trace your patterns. There are a lot of tutorials for how to do that without taking apart your leggings. Just keep in mind that your horizontal measurements should be around 10 to 20% smaller from your body measurements. Here I'm drafting the first version of the pattern, and this is where I add some of the measurements at the back of the thigh measurement and take some from the front. Once you've done this, you'll need to connect the crotch to the waist with a curved line. The front curve can touch the horizontal line and come up pretty steep, but at the back you might want to have a slightly gradual slope. Again, you'll have to just experiment with it. I'll link the instructions I'm following to the description so you can see how to make adjustments to your patterns based on the fit. Once you have your pattern, trace it on the latex and then flip the pattern over to trace the piece for the other leg as well. Mark your front and back side so that you don't get them mixed up. I decided to add a white waistband, so here I'm tracing the pattern for that. You don't need to make a waistband if you don't want to, but if your leggings keep rolling down, adding some trim might help with that. The latex I'm using is 0.4 millimeters thick. If you are using thinner latex, you can reduce your measurements more, and if you're using thicker latex, then you'll need to reduce them less. Next, we need to glue the pants together. I'm starting from the crotch and I'm gluing the front side together first. I found it easier to start from the straight end and work my way towards the curved part. Once you get to the end, your ends are probably not lining up perfectly, but that's okay. Once you're done with the front, continue gluing the back side of the crotch together. Remember to flip your work around every once in a while joining the seams together. The top piece tends to stretch out more than the bottom piece, which may cause the pattern not to line up when you reach the end, but flipping the pieces as you go can prevent that. Make sure to roll everything very well and clean up those ends with scissors before we start gluing the inseams together. Start by lining up the seams at the crotch and gluing one leg at a time. I'm using this foam dome under the crotch as the seam there is curved, so it makes it easier, and once I get to the leg, I make sure to flip the work around again to stretch the both sides of the seam evenly. Then, lastly, I'm attaching the waistband. I'm using the same thickness for the waistband, but you can make yours from thicker latex if you like more structure. I want the seams to be at the sides, so I'm finding the center of the waistband and aligning it with the crotch seam. And once that is done, I'm giving it a good rolling and letting it cure for at least a couple of days. Then it's time to test the first version of these pants. Right off the bat, I could tell that the crotch was sitting very low and there was a lot of bagginess all around. I compared these pants to my gym leggings and it looks like I did place the crotch too low on the pattern because there was extra at the top, but the legs were missing almost an equal amount at the bottom. So what I did was I used a white gel pen to mark areas that were too baggy or low by pinching that extra between my fingers and drawing lines where the seam should be. Then I put the pants on my working station and started cleaning up those markings so I could transfer them to my patterns. Here I'm lifting the crotch and removing some measurements from my upper thigh. Luckily my changes were minor enough that I didn't have to make these leggings from scratch again. I can undo the seams and remove some material where needed and glue everything back together. It can be a bit more work, but since latex ain't cheap, I'm not complaining. However, unlike me, you should probably undo all the seams at once before you start cutting and gluing these pieces back together. I thought I only had to undo a couple of seams, but pretty much everything, including the waistband, had to be taken in, so I had to take everything apart. Then I pretty much repeated every step from the beginning, and here is the final result. I think the pants fit a lot better now. I was afraid that they would be too short after seeing them side by side with my gym leggings, but they surprisingly reached my ankles. The only thing I don't like about these pants is that they are a bit flattening at the back, but that is more of an issue with this specific style of leggings. These pants were actually just a practice for what I'm planning on making next, which are leggings with more seams, which also allows for more shaping and hopefully even more flattering fit. Overall, I'm quite happy how they turned out though. I've always avoided making pants or catsuit legs because I found the pattern process so confusing, but I think I learned so much from this project that I'm excited to play around with new ideas. Let me know what you think about them, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see me make those more advanced leggings. Thank you so much for watching and happy crafting!